Good morning. I'm Larissa Wall. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Mike Hart. We, of course, starting with breaking news we've been covering all morning long. A sheriff's spokesperson confirming 2 people have been shot at Taft High School, 1 student and 1 teacher, and the suspect is in custody.
This is what we know right now. We're going to go through it all. Calls first came in around 9 a.m. 2 people confirmed shot. 1, as we just mentioned, a student, 1 a teacher. The student was airlifted to KMC. Kern County Fire says the second victim refused medical treatment. We don't know the extent of those injuries.
Also, a sheriff's spokesman has told 23 ABC the shooter in this case is a student, and that student was taken into custody. The gun used in the shooting has also been recovered. It's believed to have been a shotgun. Sheriffs say that all the students at Taft High were evacuated to the auditorium. We spoke to one who said that she was hiding in the closet. That was about 9:30. Parents were sent to the school's football field initially for pickup.
Yeah, well, now we also have called around to the other schools nearby. Lincoln Junior High confirmed they've canceled classes. Roosevelt Elementary says they're still holding classes. Parents can pick up their kids, though, and they actually said many have done that. I think we have Chris Ornelas right now live at the scene. Let's pitch over to him.
Okay, we are standing by here in Taft. We're waiting for an update here any minute to come from what we're being told will be the sheriff himself, Donnie Youngblood. We're here about a block away from the school where we've been all day. I want to kind of show you off in the distance what's going on. You can see that sign on that building that says science. That's where we're told the shooting happened, inside that building. Now we're being told that Donnie Youngblood will be coming to this location in the next 15 to 20 minutes to give us an update on everything that has happened. Now we have spoken to some people that have come out this way from the scene. A couple of them students. We spoke to one kid who said he was in another building adjacent to it and could actually hear the shots being fired, and really wasn't sure if it was real or not initially until he saw all the running and screaming and heard a helicopter overhead, and then he realized that in fact this was happening and this was in fact a real shooting that had happened at his high school. He said terrifying, nothing that he ever thought would happen here in Taft, but something that they're trying to deal with now and really are just in shock at the moment. I also spoke to another kid who said that they were actually over at the middle school in 6th grade, and they were actually in a drill, a active shooter drill. Now, if you can believe that or not, they were actually drilling for an active shooter situation when, in fact, it became real, and they were told to hide in the classroom and to stay put. He said the only way he could tell that the thing had switched from a drill to being real was that his teacher got very, very afraid very quickly, and then he realized that this was something more than just a drill. Now, that boy was okay and got out all right. As I said, he was over at the Lincoln Junior High, and so he wasn't actually in the high school where the shooting happened, but still, nonetheless, very unnerving for him. He said he had 2 brothers that goes to the high school, and he was near tears as he said he hopes that nothing has happened to them, but of course, a lot of the students are still waiting to be released, and so he honestly doesn't know if his brothers are okay at the moment, but hoping that they are. Now, again, we're standing by here. We're on Warren Avenue, just a little way from Wildcat Way outside of Taft High School, and we're waiting for an update. We expect in the next 10 to 15 minutes that we will be getting that briefing from Sheriff Donnie Youngblood. All I can tell you right now as far as the scene out here is that just a lot of shock. We're seeing a lot of parents pick up their kids, and you can just see they have a white face, ashen face. They're stunned. They can't believe that this has happened in this small town. Some told me this is why you moved to Taft. This is why you moved to a small town, to avoid these types of things and to get away from violence. And now the fact that it's actually happened here is to them just absolutely unbelievable, in utter shock. You can see parents running to the school with tears in their eyes, coming away from their kids, hugging them, holding them. Families that know each other, you'll see the parents hugging each other, sobbing in each other's arms. Can't believe that this happened in their little small town of Taft. So we're going to stay here on scene, keep an eye on the situation, and as soon as that update becomes available, as soon as that press conference starts here from Sheriff Youngblood, we'll bring it to you live. In Taft, Chris Ornelas, 23 ABC.
All right,
Thank
Chris.
you, Chris.
Yeah, and of course, a very emotional situation. You just saw pictures of the parents where authorities have them lining up outside both the high school and the middle school right next door as they were waiting to be reunited with their students.
Yeah, and we were talking to some parents earlier that said, you know, kids actually called them first thing from their phones. Thank goodness for cell phones is what they said. I think we have some sound from parents that we're going to take
right now.
Stated she was in a closet. She called my wife. My wife's a college professor at Taft College, and I guess she texted her or called her and said, hey, I'm in a closet right now, there's been a shooting. And so my wife was freaking out, obviously called me at home and said, you need to get down here, there's been a shooting at Taft High. And here I am.
He's physically okay, but to witness that like that, she's got to be, she's got to be going through crap right now, you know, her head.
What are you feeling as a parent?
I'm hurt. You know, I feel for that mom. I see the mom collapse, looking for her son.
Okay, well, thank you. She called you as it was happening?
She was laying down with the kid, and the cops had just came in, I guess, and she was.
I'm sorry. Can you?
That had been shot.
So was she freaking out? Was she calm?
No, she wasn't calm. I couldn't even understand her most of the time when she was trying to talk to me.
What was she saying to you? Like,
she was telling me, "Mom, get here. There's blood everywhere."
She was hysterical. I could hear her screaming.
Yeah, she was hysterical.
I'm not doing it. Did she call them?
She called 911. Yeah.
She was the one that she called 911.
Yeah.
So she called 911 and then called you, or?
Yeah, she had called me after everything was like settled down and everything. After they already had the kid arrested, and they had already got the kid who'd been shot or whatever. I'm assuming. I haven't really got to talk to her too much.
So, the kid was a classmate, I presume?
Yes.
So what grade is she?
She's a junior.
Junior, and it happened inside a classroom?
Yeah.
And you were just looking at some raw video sent back just minutes ago. Again, we have not been told the extent of these injuries, but as you just heard that mother saying that her daughter called, I think it was a daughter who called and said there was blood on the floor. Right. So it's giving us a little bit of insight into what happened. But again, no confirmation. We do know one person who was hurt did not or refused medical treatment, I should say.
That's right, and we believe 23 ABC believes that the person that refused medical treatment was the second victim, and that a teacher that was inside that classroom. The first victim, a student, was airlifted to Kern Medical Center. Hall ambulance telling 23 ABC that they were dispatched out to Taft, where they picked up a student and medevaced him to Kern Medical Center, the county's trauma center, just after right about 9:30, 9:45 this morning. This is video of the helicopter as it arrived at KMC with that shooting victim. Now, we are awaiting a live press conference from what we believe to be Kern County Sheriff Donnie Youngblood and Taft Chief Ed Whiting are both believed, we're being told, will be holding a joint press conference any time now to give us confirmed details on exactly what went down at Taft High School this morning.
Yeah, and we also know that Red Cross was responding to this as well. Oh, now we're taking a look. This is video from the suspect's house.
That's right. This is the scene that authorities were called out to this home on San Emilio Street. This video just back into the newsroom now. 23 ABC is being told by several people that this is the home of the suspected shooter. We don't have confirmation on that, but as you can see, there are numerous authority vehicles lined up all around the street. They have it blocked off. There is a yellow crime scene tape all around this home on San Emilio, and we're being told that this is the home of the suspected shooter in this case. Of course, we're waiting for confirmation from the Sheriff's Department on this.
Yeah, and we have a crew out there live who called in just minutes ago saying they couldn't even get anywhere near or close because it's completely blocked off. Now we're taking another look at the school. This is a live shot. Taft High School, that is the science building that you're looking at. Again, this shooting occurred around early this morning. The calls came in around 9. Supposedly, the shooting did happen inside that building that you're looking at, the science building. 2 people hurt, 1 airlifted, 1 refused treatment. 1 was a student, the other a teacher. Again, we're still getting all the information in. Very fluid scene, definitely unfolding as we speak. So we're just trying to bring as much information as possible.
Now, taking a look, as you see, we're waiting for the press conference. Have we been mentioning here that should be happening any moment now. Several law enforcement authorities, I believe that, and I'm asked the control room to confirm that it is kind of a wide picture. That looks like Donnie Youngblood on the right and Kevin McCarthy in the middle in the suit. And we're also being told that Taft Police Chief Ed Whiting is also going to be taking part in this press conference. They are moving towards our position just outside Taft Union High School right now at this moment. And
Kevin McCarthy, Representative Kevin McCarthy, I should say, released a statement this morning after this shooting saying, quote, "I am deeply saddened and troubled by news of the shooting. Judy and I offer our prayers to the victims, their families, and the entire Taft community." Again, that's a statement released by Representative Kevin McCarthy earlier this morning.
And you're looking at a live picture from our ground camera right now as they approach the media media point outside Taft High School. I think we're probably going to move our camera here into better position as they prepare to issue a statement in this shooting. Once again, we have been told 2 shooting victims. There had been rumor of a possible 3rd victim, although there had been no confirmation. We did get confirmation of a student and a teacher injured in this shooting. And also, again, if you're a parent watching and you have kids that go to schools in the area, Lincoln Junior High School has canceled classes. However, Roosevelt Elementary said they are still holding classes. They do have kids still there. However, they are allowing parents to come and pick up their kids. They also do say that the majority of the kids are being picked up right now. Obviously, parents tense, emotional. It's been less than a month since the massacre in Newtown, Connecticut, where 20 kids were killed. Again, that was December 14th, so we're talking less than a month ago. So everybody on edge as this unfolds right now. And ironically, of course, all of this happening as Vice President Joe Biden is holding those meetings in Washington, D.C. yesterday and again today, ironically enough, meeting with the NRA. We're told that the Vice President had scheduled at least 1, possibly 3 meetings with officials from the NRA and gun advocates today, just about trying to organize, and the President, of course, wanting to do more to try and hinder gun violence in this country. So there you go, Donnie Youngblood on the right there, Kevin McCarthy in the middle, Ed Whiting also out there this morning as we're waiting for them to issue a statement right now as to what's been going on and get some official confirmation on what's been happening. Yeah, you know, in a situation like this where you're involving kids, nobody wants to come out and say anything too quickly. There's too much at stake. So we've really been watching it closely, but you know, this is going to be our first, or one of our first looks at exactly what's going on because, as I said, they hold information. Nobody wants to say the wrong thing in a case like this. Parents are out there listening, trying to find out what's going on. There's just too much out there. Also, the newest information on what you were just talking about, President Joe Biden met with the NRA today. He is said to be releasing his information to the president by Tuesday. This all comes after the situation in Newtown. Less than a month ago, they are trying to curb gun violence. Now, you mentioned, you just gave the statement from Kevin McCarthy just a short while ago that was issued not long after word first broke about this shooting. Also, State Senator Jean Fuller, and I don't know if we can get this graphic up, Jean Fuller also commenting on today's shooting. She released the following statement just a short while ago, about an hour and a half ago, and she basically said this. She said, "My thoughts and prayers are with the students, faculty, families, and first responders at Taft. There we go. At Taft Union High School this morning. At this moment, their safety and well-being is paramount." She went on to say, "Let me be absolutely clear. Violence directed at our children and teachers in schools is unacceptable." She went on to say those responsible for the deplorable action today must be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Those comments coming from State Senator Jean Fuller. And for a while this morning, we weren't sure how many people had been shot. There were many reports, some parents that we were interviewing saying they heard it was multiple people. We do have confirmed that it's 2. We were hearing possibly a 3rd, but again, we are not confirming with any of that. We're going to head back out to Chris Ornalis.
Okay, guys, this is what we have right now. Just spoke to Ray Pruitt of the Kern County Sheriff's Office just a second ago. He says that they now are going to do the briefing at 12:30. We've got media kind of scattered out in this neighborhood right here next to the high school, and so they're going to give a few extra minutes to get everybody moved to this location. We're having to move to this location because this is where essentially all the satellite and microwave trucks are to do the live shots for this briefing so that we can carry it live across the nation. Now, I want to show you some of the people that are here right now that are gathering. You can see the people gathering. Obviously, the first one you recognize right there is Kevin McCarthy, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, here at the scene of this shooting. Now, you see another man in a dark blue uniform with his back to us. That is the Chief of Police of Taft. That is Ed Whiting, Chief Ed Whiting there. And then next to him, just off to the side, is, of course, Sheriff Donnie Youngblood. He is speaking with his Chief Public Information Officer, Ray Pruitt, as they all stand here and prepare for this. Now, you can see a woman there in a red shirt. She kind of just ducked down behind Chief Whiting. fighting. That is Kim Rodriguez, and she is the head of public health here in Kern County. She is the public information officer for public health. Next to them, you can see a gentleman in shades. That is Sean Collins, Captain Sean Collins of the Kern County Fire Department. He is here as well for the briefing. So you can see a lot of people here. You may also see a man with his back to us in a maroon shirt. That is the new city manager of Taft. That is Craig Jones, brand new city manager here in Taft. So you can see all agencies represented here as well. There are even some more people that I don't necessarily recognize right off the bat that I'm sure are from other agencies, possibly even federal agencies that are out here. And again, just any minute here, we're expecting this press conference to get underway. They say 12:30, and so that's going to be just a few more minutes away. I have 12:16 right now, so again, that's going to be about 14 minutes away before we get underway here, so that we can carry this live and get all the latest information out to you. Again, a very strange scene out here. It was very cold and rainy when we first got here. Now the sun's come out and it's warming up a little bit, but the cold and rainy weather really kind of gave a feel for the mood out here. It was kind of dark, and people were concerned, and a lot of worry out here, a lot of shock, and so that's what we're really trying to convey out here. That's the flavor, and that's the idea of what's happening out here right now. But at the moment, we're expecting to get our first briefing, our first hard information about what has happened here at Taft High School. We do expect, of course, that they're going to announce that there has been a shooting here with one or possibly even two victims, maybe even a third that we've heard unconfirmed. So we hope to get some more information. Of course, that's the problem in these kinds of situations, is so much of the early information is gray, and there's this sort of fog there, and some of the information is not correct that we're getting, some of it is, and it's hard to tell which is which, and so that's why briefings like this are so important, so that we can get the hard facts out there. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to throw it back to you guys in the studio so that we can prepare for this briefing that's set to start here in just a couple of minutes.
We appreciate that, Chris. Ornelas reporting live from the scene outside Taft Union High School. As you saw, the players are in place. We are waiting for their comments to get some official confirmation on the information we've been bringing you since 9:15 this morning. A shooting on the campus of Taft High School inside the science building, where a student and a teacher were shot by another student in that classroom. You are looking at pictures, aerial view, an aerial photo of Taft Union High School. Chris Ornelas pointing out the science building is right at the front of the campus. As you're going on campus, it's the first building that you come to. It happened just about 9 a.m. Taft, California. For those who are viewing this on our live web stream, just north of Los Angeles, about 90 miles north to 100 miles north of Los Angeles, at the base of the San Joaquin Valley. And right there, it happened about 9 o'clock. The suspect in this case is in custody, and the weapon has been secured by authorities. A shotgun that we're being told right now, no confirmation, a shotgun was the weapon that was used in this case.
And again, the shooting suspect, sheriffs are saying was a student at the school as well. All the students were evacuated pretty immediately to the auditorium, and we're now looking at the helicopter. Again, this was a medevac that airlifted that one student who we do know was injured. This happened around 9:45 to 10 a.m. this morning after this whole situation broke out.
Now, we have no confirmation on the extent of the injuries. That's what we're hoping to get from this press conference. That's now about 10 minutes away. We know the student was injured, airlifted to Kern Medical Center, which is in Bakersfield, which is just about 45-minute drive from Bakersfield to the city of Taft. Also, we're also showing you video that we got earlier today from on a home on San Emilio Drive. Now, we're being told that this is the home of the suspected shooter. Once again, we have no official confirmation, but through our sources, we're being told that is the home of the shooter. As you can see, a large number of law enforcement vehicles outside of many different agencies, and of course, they had it all cordoned off with crime scene tape.
Yeah, of course. And just to go through kind of what we know once again, the two people were shot. The suspected shooter is in custody. One of the people that was shot was a student, one a teacher. The student was airlifted to KMC. Kern County Fire says the second victim refused medical treatment. Also, as we've been saying, the sheriff's spokesman says the shooter is also a student. He's been taken into custody. The gun has been recovered. Sheriffs say they believe that it was some sort of shotgun.
Yeah, and all the students right now at Taft High School, we're being told, were evacuated to the auditorium. We actually spoke to several students, one who talked to us from inside a closet as they were hiding on campus. That was about 9:30 this morning. Parents were sent to the school's football field to pick them up, but we have shown you video, various shots of parents lined up not only outside Taft High School now, but outside a neighboring junior high school as they were picking up students, not just at Taft High School, but at the neighboring schools, of course. All the schools in Taft went on lockdown, and classes have been since canceled for the entire day.
Yeah, and we can't say enough if you have kids at those other schools. Lincoln High confirmed they've canceled all classes. Roosevelt Elementary says they are still they have kids still there, but you can come. If you're a parent, go pick your kid up. They will hold them, though, if you cannot get to them yet.
Now, the current chapter of the American Red Cross is also at the scene to support the shooting incident there at Taft High School. Now, a volunteer team includes volunteer mental health and nurse professionals, as well as trained volunteer disaster responders. An operations center, we're being told, has been established at the local chapter and is in communication with the National Red Cross headquarters in order to provide assistance to any families that require it now as a result in the wake of this shooting. You're looking at more live pictures right now. I should say this is videotape shot earlier as officers swept the campus doing a room-to-room search to make sure no one was there. There's the front of the building. As you can see, parents are lined up there and across the street at the neighboring elementary school waiting to get their kids and take them home. And
our reporter Christine Din was with us earlier saying that parents just in shock. The complete school was surrounded. So many officers from all different agencies. There were definitely Taft Police, Kern County. We actually are just hearing that Christine is talking to students right now. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to go out to her.
No, right now, but we have been talking with dozens of parents that have been swarming down there, obviously very emotional. And it happened just a short time ago. We were able to get some video back into the 23 ABC newsroom. This is raw video that we cut just a short while ago from parents that we spoke to who were in contact with their kids on the campus at the time the shooting happened. Let's go to that.
Stated she was in a closet. She called my wife. My wife's a college professor at Taft College, and I guess she texted her or called her and said, hey, I'm in a closet right now, there's been a shooting. And so my wife was freaking out, obviously, called me at home and said, you need to get down here, there's been a shooting at Taft High. And here I am.
She's physically okay, but to witness that like that, she's got to be going through crap right now, you know, her head.
What are you feeling as a parent?
I'm hurt. You know, I feel for that mom. I see the mom collapse looking for her son.
Okay, well, thank you. She called you as it was happening?
She was laying down with the kid, and the cops had just came in, I guess. And she was
Can you,
that had been shot.
So was she freaking out? Was she calm?
No, she wasn't calm. I couldn't even understand her most of the time when she was trying to talk to me.
What was she saying to you? Like,
she was telling me, Mom, get here, there's blood everywhere.
She was hysterical. I could hear her screaming.
Yeah, she was hysterical.
I'm not doing it. I'm getting ready to call them.
She called 911, yeah.
She was the one that she called 911?
Yeah.
So she called 911 and then called you, or?
Yeah, she had called me after everything was like settled down and everything, after they already had the kid arrested. And they had already got the kid who'd been shot or whatever. I'm assuming. I haven't really got to talk to her too much.
So the kid was a classmate, I presume?
Yes.
So what grade is she?
She's a junior.
Junior, and it happened inside a classroom?
Yeah.
All right, you're listening to a reaction, obviously emotional reaction from parents at the scene. We've been speaking to dozens of parents. We are right now talking to several students out there. We'll be bringing you those comments just as soon as we can. But right now, let's go back out to 23 ABC's Chris Ornals, who's been standing by live and bringing us updates now for the past 3 hours. So, Chris, what can you tell us?
Well, this is what we're hearing right now. Just in the last couple minutes, we got an update here. What we're expecting with that press conference in about 6 minutes now is we're going to start with Sheriff Donnie Youngblood of the Kern County Sheriff's Office. That'll be the first one to speak. After him will come Chief Ed Whiting of the Taft Police Department. Now, the Taft High School does fall within the actual city of Taft, so it'll be the Taft Chief of Police, Ed Whiting, who will speak after the sheriff. And then following that, we're being told that Congressman Kevin McCarthy will, in fact, speak to us. And then after that, we're being told that that's when Donnie Youngblood will come back up to the podium, and we will be allowed to ask questions about the situation out here. So that's the lineup that we can expect here in the next few minutes. A lot of media out here. The Los Angeles media has now arrived. Some of the national media is here as well. And so we're expecting quite a lengthy press conference and update here about what has happened here at Taft High School. Let's send it back to you for now.
you don't expect something like this to happen.
Right.
You know, it's a community, 10,000 people or less, so everybody's out here. Definitely more questions than answers right now. Again, all of us awaiting that press conference to get a lot of confirmation on all the things. You know, I'm looking at social media right now, a lot being said. We don't have official confirmation other than what we're telling you, that 2 people have been shot. 1 has been airlifted. That was a student. The other person refused medical treatment. We do have confirmation that that person was a teacher at the school.
That's right. And of course, we have been talking with numerous members, state and federal lawmakers, most notably Gene Fuller, state senator, Congressman Kevin McCarthy, who you saw in our live pictures out there at the scene. They've already been making comments on this as this, of course, happens now as the Sandy Hook anniversary is in its 1 month. The federal talks undergoing right now at the nation's capital with Vice President Joe Biden and the NRA over what to do about gun violence on our campuses. This also happening as many campuses across the country are bringing in officers to do sweeps. Just yesterday, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, Los Angeles announced that they would have officers sweeping and making visits at different campuses within the school system.
And yesterday we were actually talking about it earlier. San Diego did a whole mock shooting. What would you do if a shooter came into your school and it was an active scene and taught the kids what to do, where to go, what to say, things like that? And then here we are again, kind of bringing a similar story. And here's an overhead shot of the situation. Again, of course, as we've been saying, we're waiting for this press conference. A lot of people waiting there to talk, to fill us in on this tragic situation.
Now, a lot of people are, of course, following this live on the web as we are live streaming this across the country. For people who are just joining us, giving you a quick recap of what we know right now. Right now, we are, I should tell you, we're just learning that we have a statement from Assemblyman Rudy Salas that we are expecting any moment. Yes, we're being handed the statement from Rudy right now to the shooting. He's saying, quote, "A very sad and troubling news today. My prayers are with the students, families, teachers, and community of Taft as we learn more about the tragic shooting." Assemblymember Salas went on to say, "We must do everything we can to ensure that our children and our schools are safe." This statement just being handed to me from Rudy Salas, Assemblyman in the 32nd District of California.
And we're getting some more information. This is a quote according to a student. She said the bell had just rung at a nearby school when teachers began shouting for students to get inside buildings, and the principal used an intercom to tell students to stay inside. Again, that was from a student. On Associated Press is reporting that. And so we're just trying to get as much information as possible, waiting for this press conference to begin. Again, a small area out here in Taft, and definitely a horrible situation going on right now.
Exactly right. And we are awaiting that press conference, which should be happening any moment now. Once again, what we do know, what we have heard, unconfirmed, 2 victims. We know that is confirmed. 2 victims, 1 student, 1 teacher. The extent of their injuries not known, although we have been told by several sources the teacher's injuries were minor and that he refused medical attention. Now you can see Chris Ornalis right there motioning to us in the screen as they are taking down that tape and preparing to hold this press conference. As Chris spoke, he had mentioned that you can see right now moving into the shot, you can see Taft Police Department Chief Ed Whiting. That's Sheriff Donnie Youngblood of Kern County. Let's listen to what he has to say.
I think we're waiting on that. We have them.
Let's go back and join them now.
When you guys are all ready, just give me a everybody ready. All right, here we go.
Spell your name, please, first.
30 seconds. Sorry.
Thanks, Sheriff. Multitasking today. Please spell your names before you start speaking.
Sheriff.
I'm Kern County Sheriff Donnie Youngblood, Y-O-U-N-G-B-L-O-O-D. At about 9 o'clock this morning, 911 calls started coming in of shots, possibly shots fired at Taft High School. Taft Police Department was the initial responding agency. They had 2 units on scene within 60 seconds. There was an active shooter that didn't show up for school this morning. For the first period, he then interrupted the class halfway through it, armed with a shotgun. He fired the first round, striking another student. That student is at the hospital, a 16-year-old who is in critical condition, but stable at this point. He then tried to engage a second student that he named and tried to shoot him and missed. The teacher at that point was trying to get the students out of the classroom and engaged the shooter, who had numerous rounds of shotgun shells, the 12-gauge shotgun, numerous rounds in his pockets, and he engaged the student, or the suspect, in conversation. A campus supervisor showed up, was outside the classroom, and together they engaged in conversation with this young man. And at one point, he put the shotgun down, and police officers were able to take him into custody. During the melee of people the children trying to get out, we had one student that the shotgun was fired very close to her ear. She's at the hospital with possible hearing damage. Another student fell over the tables trying to get out, and she received some minor injuries. That's where we're at this point, and I'd like to introduce the Chief of Police, Ed Whiting.
Good afternoon. Ed Whiting, W-H-I-T-I-N-G. I'm the Police Chief, City of Taft, and first and foremost, I'd like to let you know that the family members and the victim are in our thoughts and prayers for their speedy recovery. And we are very fortunate to have the kind of response that we did today because of a very good working relationship we have with the Kern County Sheriff's Department. The officers have received training in active shooter. They did respond as per the policy. And I think the best I can tell you is that we want to really commend the teacher and a campus supervisor for all they did to bring this to a very quick resolution before anybody else was harmed. We know the students involved, we know the teacher, we know the campus supervisor. They are some really awesome people. They did a great job in protecting the kids, and we can't thank them enough for what they did today. And I'd like to, at this time, introduce Kevin McCarthy.
Congressman Kevin McCarthy, M-C-C-A-R-T-H-Y. First, our thoughts and prayers goes for the victim. His time of need is right now, and we know he's getting the best care possible. I first want to commend the teacher. I think he saved many lives today. His actions, his time, his ability of what he did and protect the students there. Secondly, I want to thank this entire school district. Many won't know, but every semester they do training. They had training this morning at 7:30. They're prepared for the worst case scenario, and they acted properly. And to all law enforcement, the short amount of response time here, the protection of the students, and the way the school district has carried this out, making sure, as we all know, hearing any news like this, for our parents being to know where their students are, and the way they will protect them and keep them back. So our prayers to all as we go forward for those who were injured, at the same time thanking the law enforcement and the school district for their preparedness and their action, and most importantly to this teacher. His actions were right. The actions that he took saved others and protected many.
Sheriff, what can you tell us about the shooter, age?
Motivation?
16-year-old student that was a member of the class where the shooting took place. Obviously, there had been a dialogue between the victim that's critical and the suspect before this morning. We know that through the 911 calls, or we believe that the suspect lives a very short distance from school. We believe that he picked up the 12-gauge shotgun and walked into the school armed with a shotgun. And one of the neighbors, we believe, called 911 to report that. Of course, he's in the school at that point, and the response of the Taft Police Department and the sheriff's deputies was really quick. And if it weren't for this teacher and a quick response, we don't know what might have happened. He had several maybe as many as 20 rounds of shotgun in his pocket, shotgun rounds. And so we don't know what might have happened, and this is a tragedy, but not as bad as we think it might have been.
Sheriff, can you tell us whether the student who's suspected of this shooting had been investigated last year in some kind of an incident regarding a hit list?
I have no information on that at this point.
Chief, he remembers that he was bullied. Can you confirm or deny that?
You know, there was some conversation this morning about bullying. We have not confirmed that that is an issue at this point, but obviously something occurred for this student to come in with a shotgun.
Chief, do you know anything about this allegation, this rumor that the student who's accused in this shooting had some kind of an investigation last year regarding a hit list of some kind?
I'm not aware of one. I can tell you that it's still early in the investigation, and we will get to be able to answer those questions at some later time. Right now we can't answer them.
And I'm not clear, the teacher, was he injured?
The teacher did receive a pellet wound, we believe, to the head. And when I talked to him this morning, he was fine, obviously emotionally distraught. This is a tragedy for this teacher as well as these students. But he did receive a wound to the head, yes.
How long has he been a teacher here?
I have no idea. Mr. McDermott, do you know how long he's been a teacher here?
I think it's been about, I want to say approximately 3 years, but I'm not sure.
Are we naming this teacher? Can you provide us his
We are
name?
not at this point.
Okay.
Tell us more about those heroic actions that he made and how quickly he reacted.
You know, when he said the student was armed with the shotgun, and when he started the dialogue, the shotgun, he said, was pointed in several different directions. He is unsure how many rounds were fired, which is not uncommon at the scene of a shooting. Police officers a lot of times can't tell you how many rounds are fired. He went through the same exact thing, but he said that as the dialogue started with him and the campus supervisor, who was just outside the room, the student was still armed with a shotgun, and they stayed, and I think probably distracted him in a conversation, allowing students to get out of the classroom and ultimately talking the student down.
And as a law enforcement officer, can you talk about that some, about trying to talk to someone when you have no weapon?
What did he say to convince the student to put the weapon down?
You know, I don't know what his exact words were, or the campus supervisor. They're being interviewed at this point by detectives, so I don't know what that conversation was. Yes, sir.
Can you talk a little bit about being a law enforcement officer and trying to talk down someone who's totally unarmed? I mean, you're unarmed, they got a gun pointed at you, and you're trying to talk them down. I mean,
yeah. The heroics of these two people, you know, it goes without saying to stand there and face someone that has a shotgun, who's already discharged it and shot a student. That speaks volumes for these two young men and what they may have prevented. They could have just as easily tried to get out of the classroom and left students, and they didn't. And they knew not to let him leave that classroom with that shotgun, and they took that responsibility on very serious, and we're very proud of the job they did.
Sheriff, how many students were at risk at the time the student was firing?
I'm sorry?
How many students were at risk within range of this young man?
You know, in the classroom, it looks like about 28 students in the classroom.
So you mean that these two people, by talking to this young man, may have saved 20 or 30 lives?
Well, what we do know is he was armed with a shotgun, he shot someone, he tried to shoot someone else, and the teacher is trying to get the students to evacuate through the back door. During that process, the teacher and the campus supervisor engage him in conversation, allowing all the students to get out, and then he put the weapon down.
Where are kids being taken had about 20 shotgun rounds on him. What type of rounds are we talking?
These are 12 gauge, and we haven't inspected all the type of ammunition yet. But it could be very well could be birdshot, and it could have a mixture. I don't know yet.
Was he wearing protective gear?
Not that I'm aware of.
Sheriff, the teacher and the campus supervisor, did either of them have weapons?
They did not.
Not even the campus
Was
supervisor?
this planned or spur of the moment by the shooter?
Well, I don't know. We're in the process of interrogating him and trying to find out what caused this incident, what sparked it.
But the student that was shot was a target of this, you believe?
The student that is in critical condition, we believe, was one intended target of the suspect. Yes.
Were there other possible targets?
Yes, he named a second one that he tried to shoot and was and evidently missed.
In that same room?
In that same room at the same time.
Do we know where he got the shotgun?
We do not. We have witnesses who say they saw him enter the campus carrying the shotgun. They called 911. That started that chain reaction of law enforcement, and the campus security or the campus supervisor was in the office told, "Go, there's shots fired. Go to the room," and he did.
Where are parents being asked to pick up their kids at this point?
They're at the front of the school in a very coordinated, systematic method where they have to have ID. We want to be able to count for all the kids in the school when they're released to their parents.
So, Sheriff, there was a lot of presence still of law enforcement there. Were they going through the room by room, and why were the helicopters still overhead?
We certainly didn't know that we just had one shooter and that we just had one serious critical victim. So the entire school had to be gone through room by room. We'll be here the rest of the day going through backpacks that are in the classroom. We want to make sure that there are no more firearms. So we've still got a lot of work to do.
Tell me about the training that was performed this morning and how it may have helped everybody prepare for that.
Superintendent McDermott might be able to tell you about the 7:30 training this morning.
Yeah, one of the things that's very important is to make sure that you're trained and prepared for everything. This morning we had a staff meeting, and during that particular staff meeting, one of the main important aspects of it that we were talking about, that was being talked about, was the lockdown process in case any type of emergency on campus took place. And that's exactly what they did this morning. It's naturally in response to all the things that you've heard, but there's also a regular system and a schedule that's set up in the Taft Union High School District in order to do this. So it's an ongoing and continuous process that the staff goes through. They completed it again this morning, and unfortunately, as we all know, it was implemented immediately. The lockdown was immediate, and the response of both the Taft Police Department and the Sheriff's Office was fantastic. It was immediate. As the campus supervisor was entering one end, it seemed like shortly thereafter, the police were coming down the hallway at that exact same time.
Superintendent, how were parents notified of what they should do and how to arrive at school and where to be to pick up their students?
Approximately about 35 minutes into the process, when it was very clear that the victim was being transported in order to receive medical treatment, and the shooter was in custody. At that exact time, we were able to ascertain that there were no major injuries other places, or any of the other students or staff were involved in that. And due to that, we were able to send out an all-call, both in English and Spanish, in both languages, out to the parents to let them know that a shooting had taken place, number one, that their students were all right, and what the status was, and that we were at that time under lockdown, and the entire process was being controlled by the Sheriff's Office and the Taft Police Department, and that we would let them know that later on when they could come in and pick up their students.
So we heard some frustration in
hit
class.
list that this student may have been suspended for last year. What can you tell us about that?
I'm afraid I don't have any information on that.
You haven't heard anything about that? Or
I haven't. I haven't, because I'm afraid that I'm the interim superintendent. I came on in September, and frankly, I'm not that well aware of it.
Was
but
this
we don't know.
ever suspended?
I don't.
You have to understand that when this occurred, those things weren't important to us in law enforcement. We wanted to get the suspect.
Yeah.
We got the suspect. We took him to Bakersfield to be interviewed and interrogated, and that's what that process is right now. So the school district might not, other than rumor, might not even know what that student's real name is.
Okay, well, have authorities heard anything about that?
I do not have any information on that as of right now. Yes, sir.
Sir, there are some reports that there is armed security. Is there an armed officer?
There usually is. Today, that the deputy or the officer from, I believe it's Taft PD, couldn't get there because he was snowed in, so he was not there today.
So normally there is a Taft PD officer assigned to the high school every day.
That is correct.
What charges specifically is he going to be facing?
We'll have to wait until we find out exactly everything that happened, and we'll charge him with the appropriate crimes. Rochelle, did you have a question?
Yeah, did the science teacher have him in custody by the time you guys got there?
When the campus security, the campus supervisor and the teacher had him disarmed at that point. And they don't arrest people, so they talked him to putting the shotgun down. We then went in and took him in custody. That we Taft PD.
Were they holding him or anything like that?
I have no information on how that arrest or that detention took place.
The teacher actually told the young man, "You're not going to do that in my classroom," when it looked like a second victim might be being targeted, and specifically took the weapon away or was able to disarm the young man until police arrived. Is that consistent with what you...
It very well may be true. All I can tell you at this point is they engaged in a conversation that talked him into putting that shotgun down, that he had discharged him more than once, and did not. He in fact told the teacher, "I don't want to shoot you," and named the other person that he wanted to shoot. So he had intended targets. There's no question.
Sheriff, do we know what that conflict was between the shooter and these other students?
At this point, I cannot tell you what that conflict was.
Was the suspect supposed to be in that class?
I'm sorry?
Was the suspect supposed to be in that class?
Yes, the student that was the shooter did not show up for class this morning. He showed up halfway through the first period armed with a 12-gauge shotgun.
Chief, can you tell us what your first officer found when he entered the classroom and what he saw?
Yes, he found the student supervisor, the teacher, and the student who had been disarmed, and he took the shooter into custody.
Were they laying on him, or how were they detaining him for the officer?
He didn't elaborate.
Can you tell us if this was junior or senior class?
What grade was he in?
What grade?
I don't know that.
And this was the second floor of the science building?
Second floor of the science building, yes.
And Chief, talk to us a little bit about your school resource officer program and the importance of it for situations just as this.
The school resource officer provides both security on the campus and an interaction with the students and law enforcement so that we have not only a good presence on campus, but also the interaction between law enforcement and the students gives us a better feel for what's going on in the community. So we know what's going on. So things like this, when they come up, we have a better idea of what's going on. Our school resource officer does know both the victim and the shooters, or the shooter.
Are the doors locked when school starts? How did the student walk in after first period began?
I'm not sure how that happened, and that's be part of the investigation.
So, sir, are you saying that the shooter, as you put it, the person believed to be responsible, was known to your officers? Is that correct?
A good school resource officer should know all the people on campus, and I'm sure that he does.
In what context? Is this a student that had been having some problems like last year in the past?
I'm not aware of any problems with this particular student.
I think in context, you're in a community that's very small in population. Everyone knows everyone,
right.
And I think that's how the officers probably are aware.
I must tell you guys, I've spoken to at least 7 parents, all of whom give us the same story, that this young man was suspended last year because he had a list of people, students in the class, in the school. He said he intended to hurt in some fashion. Several parents called it a hit list, that he was suspended from the school last year, and he was allowed to come back because, you want to give kids a second chance. I believe he was okay, but this is the same student, we are told, who's responsible for the shooting. Can you give us any information as to whether any of that is true?
I can't give you what we don't have until I can go and look and see if that's true, see if we have a case report, see if there's a report from the school. That's why we're still early in the investigation, and we're not going to know those things until we do that investigation.
How many shots were fired exactly towards the first student?
Between 2 and 4. The teacher
4?
is not sure how many rounds were fired.
Did anybody encounter the student between the time he hit the front door and the time he got to the
Not that we're aware of. I'm sorry?
Did the parents or father of this student work for the school in some capacity at some point?
I have no information on where the parents were.
Chief, if there was an incident, as we're hearing, of a student with a hit list, is that something that there would be record of that your office would have investigated that happened last year?
If it was reported to us, yes.
Okay.
And Superintendent, what would be the protocols for the school district in a situation like that? If a student had a list of, claiming it was going to hurt, what would be the protocol for the school district in a case like that?
I think in most situations, what you do is you go in and you do an investigation, and you also do some counseling. You usually work with the parents and work with the students, all those that are involved in most cases, and work through any issues that there might be. I think it's always difficult to ever be in a situation where you can determine, for instance, that it has ever gotten to the level where the person might actually go out and do something like this. That's a whole realm that is very, very difficult in order to determine. But with the counselors looking into it, counselors reviewing it, as well as working with parents, usually most of these issues, and I don't think anybody here who's ever been to high school would ever say that there aren't a whole lot of issues between and among students throughout your years in high school. It could be all kinds of things. And I think what happens is that an open kind of a dialogue that the Taft Union High School District has created in order to work through and deal with most of those has been very, very successful, certainly in the past. If there are those situations in this particular case, and like I said, I'm certainly not aware of them, but if there is, I'm sure that that's the kind of process that has been followed in that situation.
Is it protocol, though, to report it to police if something like that were to occur?
It really always depends upon the level of the information, and the police may have already been involved in it, and they may have already had may have been involved in it in the past too.
What I'm having a little trouble is, you know, in one breath we're hearing this is a small community where the school resource officer is familiar with everybody as one would expect in this type of situation, but on the other hand, we're hearing, well, we don't know, we're not aware, we haven't investigated. You know, it seems like these allegations that we're hearing from parents are pretty serious, and if they're talking about it, I would assume that you guys would know something of it.
And maybe you didn't hear. We don't know. When this occurs, we get the suspect in custody, and we're giving you the information that we have, and we haven't had the opportunity to do what you're asking the question to. So I hope that that's clear. We've answered every question that we know at this point. We didn't interview the suspect in the room and ask him all the questions that you're asking. We didn't say, what's your name? We need to check your history. That's going to be done at the appropriate time. Anybody else have a question?
What about the gun? Have you tracked the gun? How did the kid get the gun?
Same answer.
What, will the kids be back at school?
I'm sorry?
Tomorrow? The kids be back at school?
I think that the school is...
No, what we're doing is we're going to be offering, and we'll be getting back out as the parents are coming in right now into the auditorium and identifying themselves, identifying their student. They're being released to them in their care at this particular time in their custody. And tomorrow there will be no school. We are going to have counselors on staff here at the site in order to respond to any parents or students who may want in, and staff as well. I think that it's important. We have some staff that stepped in and did very well throughout this entire process. The kids handled it very well. And then on Monday, we will be having school back in session, and during that time, we will also have counseling available. And we will notify the parents to this effect a little bit later on today.
Is this the first time that such an incident has happened, sir?
I'm sorry?
Is this the first time that such a shooting incident has happened in Taft?
To my knowledge, I don't know of any kind of an incident like this that has ever taken place here in any way, shape, or form.
Obviously, in light of Connecticut, can you respond to parents who are going to be watching this, who are super sensitive to shootings like this happening at school?
You know, this is such a gut-wrenching and an emotional situation when you have a place where everybody is here trying to learn how to get along with one another, educate themselves, and work together as a community, and something like this or violence takes place. My heart went out to the folks in Connecticut, I really do.
Given the fact that you've had
and so forth. And I think what happens is we are very lucky in the fact that we do have a police officer on campus who is armed. And unfortunately they can't be every place all times, but we did have our 2 campus supervisors who were running around, working on campus and working with kids, and are always checking on things, and it was, like I said, to their benefit. They're very helpful in the process.
Sheriff, what if any involvement would there be from the federal agencies?
Well, you probably noticed the FBI was here, and they're here really to make sure that this isn't a federal incident, and they're here to really observe. And I mean, we knew this was going to get national attention, and our local FBI stepped in, and I asked them to stick around because they can learn if we have another event down the road of any kind where we use the FBI. We work hand in hand. This county has the best interaction with law enforcement agencies probably anywhere in the country, and we want to keep it that way, and that's part of the reason you saw them here.
Given the fact that where does this incident fit into the larger gun debate on the national level?
Well, I think first, let's get all the facts. I think secondly, let's take care of the victims. Let's make sure all these students are safe before we move forward. And that's what you saw law enforcement do. That's what you saw school officials prepared. having somebody on campus, but more importantly, first thing they did was bring everybody into the auditorium, make sure the parents were aware, and they're walking the parents through like that.
But with
this
another
is a
shooting,
time.
there's obviously going to be even more of a push for gun control. Is that something you might get on board with?
I think we want to know all the facts, and that's what law enforcement is doing right now. I know you have a lot of questions about all what went on. First and foremost, our job was to make sure we protected these students. I want to commend again not only our law enforcement, but our education. What this teacher did was heroic, and we want to make sure everybody's safe. There'll be enough time to deal with the others, and let's get all the facts.
Chief White, information on the teacher that you guys can tell us? You know, background?
We've told you everything that we know about at this point about the teacher.
Deputy, will there be any further updates later on today?
Certainly there may be. We may have more information later today after interrogations and interviews.
This for Chief Whiting. Given the fact that you had a training cycle this morning, are you okay with how security is, or is this something that you're going to have to look at now in light of what happened and maybe tweak things a little bit?
I think it's always incumbent upon us to always look and reevaluate what we're doing, especially in light of what happened today. We're going to look at it, we're going to debrief, we're going to see what we did right, what we did wrong, and we're going to work on it and improve it, because that's what we do.
Thank you very much for your patience. You guys really did exhibit a lot of patience, and we really appreciate that.
Do you guys know when you'll have another update?
As soon as, whatever we do.
All right, there you go. You heard the live press conference from Sheriff Donnie Youngblood, from Taft Police Chief Ed Whiting, Congressman Kevin McCarthy among those, and Superintendent McDermott, all commenting on what exactly happened there today. Of course, it began early this morning. The suspect, a 16-year-old student, didn't show up to school on time, showed up about halfway through the first class in the science classroom on the second floor of that building, apparently with 2 intended targets when he entered that classroom.
Yeah, and they're saying that he hit the first student, which was his first intended target. That student, 16 years old, rushed to KMC via a medical helicopter. We're hearing he is in critical but stable condition. The gunman then tried to shoot a second target, missed that kid. 2 to 4 bullets, they're saying, possibly in the first student that's in critical condition. He had a 12-gauge shotgun. And they're saying the teacher and a campus supervisor were able to talk him into putting down the shotgun.
That's right. And he was taken into custody. The weapon was secured. And he actually at one point told the teacher he wasn't there. He didn't want to shoot him. After he was taken into custody, 2 other students, we learned, suffered minor injuries trying to escape the melee and being possibly in close proximity to the shotgun during the shooting there. Of course, we're going to have much more information coming up later tonight on 23 ABC News at 5 and 6 o'clock. And of course, as always, go to our website, turnto23.com. We will continue to bring you new information on the website the rest of the afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us. Also check our Facebook page as well. We'll have you updated through both of those avenues, and we'll see you here later tonight at 5 and 6 and 11 p.m.